As I approached the dump, I noticed a quick movement. Suddenly, a thin, weak dog ran toward me. But after just a few steps, he collapsed on the ground, exhausted. The scorching 41 degrees Celsius heat had made his fragile body give out. I could see in his eyes that he was on the verge of giving up, using his last strength to seek help. Here was a being in pain, so fragile that the slightest effort seemed impossible. Without having a car available, I had to improvise and took him by bike to the vet. With each pedal stroke, a mixture of anxiety and hope took hold of me. When we arrived, the scene was desolate. He was so thin that his ribs were visible, with clear signs of malnutrition and profound exhaustion. His muscles were stiff, and he trembled every time the doctor touched the painful areas. The initial evaluation revealed a suspected fracture in his leg, specifically at the knee, and it was clear that he was dealing with severe pain. X-rays confirmed that his previously broken leg had calcified improperly over time, severely limiting his mobility and causing constant discomfort. In addition, malnutrition had triggered severe anemia, making his recovery even more difficult. Given this, the vet recommended immediate and intensive treatment. He was given a series of medications and a reinforced diet plan to help him gain weight and strengthen his immunity. The summer was scorching, and there was no doubt that the little guy would not have survived on the streets for much longer. He needed a nutrient-rich diet to recover, so I began to monitor his diet carefully. In the early days, he spent almost all of his time lying down, and his weakness was visible. To my delight, he began to eat voraciously. It was as if each meal was a new one for him, as if he had never eaten regularly before. To alleviate his pain and improve the stiffness in his muscles and joints, we began complementary treatment with acupuncture and physiotherapy, which he received at least twice a week. With each session, I saw a different light in his eyes. The dog gradually began to show signs of relief and was eventually able to stand up and take a few steps more steadily. The vet warned us that if there was not enough improvement, surgery might be necessary to remove the calcium deposits resulting from the improper calcification of the fracture. But fortunately, after 4 months of intensive treatment and dedication, we realized that he was overcoming his limitations without the need for surgery. In the meantime, he surprised me more and more with his behavior. Although Mask's origins were a mystery, his sweet and intelligent demeanor suggested that he was not just a street dog. He had habits of obedience and a sharp intelligence, as if he had known the comfort of a home. Probably, at some point, he was cruelly abandoned in a dump. And what happened to his leg? The question remained unanswered. Perhaps an accident or an intentionally caused fracture. However, this dark past did not diminish his willingness to trust. With each walk, he came closer, showing that he saw me as someone who brought security. Mask, as I called him, became my loyal and beloved companion. I can't help but think of how many times he must have sought help before our lives finally crossed paths. By the time he completed 4 months of treatment, he was unrecognizable. His ribs were no longer visible, and his fur shone with a new vitality. Unfortunately, the calcified fracture will never allow him to fully recover his mobility, but the doctor was able to greatly alleviate his pain and promote a much better quality of life. Today, Mask displays his radiant and vibrant personality to everyone around him. He approaches with his characteristic canine smile, his tail wagging, his eyes shining. He is a dog who, even after so much suffering, faces each new day with optimism. Watching him, I learned a powerful lesson about resilience and the value of second chances. Mask didn't just survive. He found a reason to smile again, and that is inspiring. In this way, he reminds us that even in the darkest situations, love and hope can transform lives. Mask is an example that we can always find joy and strength, even after a past of suffering. May we all be a little more like him, optimistic, grateful, and ready to live each day with joy.